Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Joined right now by Titans General Manager Ran Carthon, who has been a busy man this week. What's going on, Ran? How are you?
Top of the top, world. How we doing?
We're good.
We are good. Ran, I want to start. Are you aware that Ramon Foster is photoshopping your face onto videos of chefs and tweeting out, "Let Ran cook" this week?
That does not surprise me one bit. If it's Ramon doing some foolery out there in the world, that does not surprise me at all.
So do you like to cook, Ran?
Actually, I do.
Okay.
But just for my family. You know, that's my peaceful time. My time to get away is to get in the kitchen and actually cook a little bit.
I'm with you on that.
See, it was a respectful Photoshop, though, man. It wasn't like you was out here with, like, a little skinny neck and small arms and stuff. Like, you had it together, man. It was dope. I'm going to be honest with you. It was real cool. I get that,
I'm gonna
right?
have to check out your work. I'm going to have to check out your work. That's subjective. I think if you're saying you did a good job or something, I think that's to be determined.
Well, Ramon Foster is known as the Big Ragu because of how good his lasagna is. That is his signature dish. When Ran Carthon makes his signature dish, what would that be specifically?
I'd probably say my collard greens.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
I know that the aroma fills up the house, and I know that's what gets my teenage daughters out of their room for them to come down and want to know when it's going to be ready. So I would say the collard greens. And when you say Ramon's lasagna, has anybody tasted his lasagna to confirm that?
Not in this building.
Hey, Ran, fire. Okay.
A man by the name of Ron Slay is the one who attests for it.
That's right. Just Slay Dog.
Hey, fire.
You got to bring it over there.
We'll see.
All right, we'll set something up. I got you. Say less. You're not just going to be coming up. That's 2 challenges issued this morning, okay? Is this the combine again?
Hey, challenge.
Titans GM Ran Carthon, our guest. Ran, good getting to meet a lot of the new members of your team yesterday as they met with the media in the first wave. What is maybe one quality you feel like those guys have in common and the quality you're looking for as you make these calls and add free agents?
Outside of being talented football players, I think that goes without saying. I think, everybody's seen these guys play over the last few years, but they're quality people. I think as soon as you brought them in, there's not, you instantly felt like, hey, these dudes are culture fits for what we're trying to build. And even just getting some of those dudes together, you would think by the end of the day that they all knew each other, played college ball together, played high school ball together, whatever it is. But it was just instant, energy, instant connection. So that was one thing that stood out about me is how good of people they are.
Ran, man, when the news broke of Calvin Ridley committing to you guys, man, from every major news breaker was bombshell. Wow. I mean, the national guys. How in the heck did y'all pull this off?
Well, I don't know who said it best or first. There's a great poet by the name of Dwayne Carter, or I don't know if it was the other great poet, Will Bowling, but I think they both said real G's move in silence like lasagna.
Come on, Ran.
So it was just what we jokingly call one of those G-14 classified missions. And it was something that we kept tight, in the building, and we just made a push, and we're able to make it happen.
So when it comes down to that type of motion right there, that was a cool drop right there, by the way, too, Ran. I didn't know you was going to come with that one this morning. It was pretty solid right there, man. Get you a GM that can do both, okay? With that being said, is that the method of operating moving forward? Leaks happen. People have sources and all that type of stuff, but being able to operate the way you guys have this offseason with the signings that you have and the guys you're bringing in, Cushenberry, I mean, just these guys came out of left field as far as the Titans having interest in them. Is that the way you guys are moving?
Yeah, because, in this information age, like you said, things happen. Everybody has sources. But these are good players that I'm pretty sure that their previous teams wanted back. And so if there was any way for those guys to be tipped off, and especially during the negotiation period, I mean, those guys can have contact, if I'm not mistaken, with their current players, and we can't. And so, these guys haven't met us, and these guys don't know anything about our program other than the contract, that we're offering. So, it's best for us to kind of stay low-key and, stay off the grid and just, hopefully have a good product to sell. And I think, with what we're building, I think people automatically know, just from the history of the Tennessee Titans, what it is and what it means to play here. And then, you add in Coach Callahan and what he's doing and the staff he's built and just the amount of relationships that this current staff has, it's all beneficial to us. So we just want to, do our part and keep working to, build this thing to the best of our ability.
Ran Carthon taking some time to join us in a very busy week here on RK Dub. So one of the things that I heard constantly from players yesterday at the podium was the word energy, Ran. And that seems to be just permeating from the building. Tell me, what's been the major change in terms of the energy there and how much you guys are feeding off of that and being able to bring guys in the building to say, hey, we're not leaving.
I mean, you would have to meet this coaching staff, and I can't wait for you guys to meet this coaching staff. I was just prior to this, I was going down to get in the sauna real quick and got halfway down the hall and heard some Mississippi Delta blues being blasted, out of Tracy Rocker's office, and that's just the vibe and the energy, around here. You got guys like Frank Bush, who is instant energy, instant juice, and if you guys know, Frank Bush is one of those people. He's up super early. He's in the office every day by 4:30. You can count on Frank Bush to send you an email with his quote of the day at 5:15. It's clockwork. And, you guys have met Denard, and I'll say you've only met him briefly, but you in your brief interaction with him, you see what that is. And, we got guys on the offensive staff, Nick Holtz and Tyke Tolbert and Randy Jordan. It's just a lot of, energy and just juice that's just permeating throughout the building right now.
One name that you continue to hear about is Bill Callahan, just a huge addition. Obviously, the father of Brian, which will be a cool thing to see that dynamic. But, even hearing from Lloyd yesterday of hey, Bill is a big reason why I came here. What is it like to just know you've got this man on your staff?
Well, the first thing you learn is that you don't know. I just had to catch my words because we're on air. But you don't know anything about offensive line play. You know what I mean? When we got together and we did the profile tapes and just the level of detail and technique that he was and the way he was talking about it, everyone was literally looking around the room yeah, we don't know anything. But, to have someone with his pedigree, with his resume, and he's like the ultimate O-line developer, it's definitely beneficial. We can, he's excited about the task at hand, and add guys like Cushenberry to it, and hopefully we're going to continue to do that, throughout the rest of free agency, through the draft, or however else, we can continue to add good players and help build both lines up front.
Titans General Manager Ran Carthon, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ran, I've got to ask you about Derrick Henry because there are certainly a lot of people in this city who have a lot of love for him. How much did you guys pursue a reunion with him in free agency, and what ultimately led you to Tony Pollard?
Well, I think, just like everyone else, in the city that has love for Derrick, I think we all in this building do. But I think it was just one of those times where I think it was just best for everybody to just move and proceed forward. I think the world of Derrick. Derrick's been a consummate pro. Prior to me getting here, and then me getting here and getting to know him, and not to mention, he's a Florida boy. So I don't know how much you guys know about the Florida connection, but that's a real thing. But what ultimately led us to Tony was just his explosiveness, his ability to hit the home run. His 3-down ability, and then just being a good match with Tajay, and being able to have, two guys out there whose game complements each other and, allows us to, have an explosive element.
The other side of that, Rand, as you mentioned, I want to go to the coaching staff before we go players even further, man. And you mentioned your wide receivers coach, man, and all I've heard about him is how good of a coach he is, how good he is as far as route running, how good he is as far as teaching. And that seems to be the case with the entire Brian Callahan staff, man. How much of that plays a part in the players' decisions to come here? And we watched, of course, in person, Calvin really do work in Jacksonville against his team down there and up here. Those coaches have influence on those players coming here and making this team a competitive team going into this 2024 season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's just like anything else. Like these players, they talk amongst themselves, right? And so if you got guys who've played for any of our coaches, I'm pretty sure they call their buddies to hear about them. And then once they, get their buddies' approval, then it allows them to do their own, allows them to do their own research. So, oddly enough, Tyke Tolbert was the tight ends coach at Florida when I was in school. So I had I've known Tyke and his wife for a very, very long time, and he's always been a great coach. You just look at his histories, all the receivers that he's worked with, all the receivers that he's developed. He's a proven position coach, as is, all the coaches on our staff. You look at these guys, they come with a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, and the biggest thing of them all is that, they truly believe in developing young talent.
And the other side of this, too, is you signed Kenneth Murray, a guy that I look at on tape and say he's a thumper, man. He's side to side. He's quick. He's a first-rounder. And you also have a coach in Frank Bush, man, up the middle. As far as his abilities, and he said it yesterday in his press conference, man, I want to be on the field first, second, third down. How big of an addition he is to the squad in the middle? Is there other plans to get another linebacker? And what does Frank Bush mean to the development of a Kenneth Murray also?
No, it was big to get K9 in here. Like you said, he's someone that you've been watching since the Oklahoma days. You appreciate the way he plays and, his athleticism and his length and his speed and his just ability to run. And just getting with someone like Frank Bush is going to turn him loose, eliminate, some of the thinking and the processing, and just let him go hunt. Just let him go play ball. And if you look at Frank's background, he's done that everywhere he's went, whether it's an undrafted guy, whether it's a first-round pick, or a mid-round pick. He's just that's what Frank does. Is he gets guys comfortable into who they are, and I guess in their own skin, if you will, and just allows them to go play free football.
Titans GM Ran Carthon cooking with us this morning on RK Dub. Okay, so we've got the draft coming up, and I know free agency still happening now, but the amount of times on this show that we get people calling in to give their perspective on who you guys should take at 7, it's just crazy. Like, I go to sleep having dreams of who you guys are going to take. Now, we're saying that, though, Rand, not having a third-round pick. I'm just curious, does that make things a little bit more complicated in terms of what you guys do in the draft? Because I know a third round is very valuable.
No, I don't think it complicates things. As you go, you continue to study the draft, and we've been in this position without a third-round pick for a year, so it's something that you have a plan for. And of course, there are going to be players in that area where you wish that you had a shot to get them. And just because we don't have a third-round pick today doesn't mean we won't have one draft weekend. So we'll see how that goes. But it's funny you say how people call up to your show. My wife and I, we were out furniture shopping last week, and just at a random place, and this guy just comes up and is like, "Hey, just let me know when you're ready for me to tell you who we should take at 7." And it was probably 8:00 in the morning, and that was I was just completely caught off guard. But trust me, as much as they call in to your show, they stop me in public and say the same thing.
Ran, I believe it. And, bless you for doing that and dealing with that. But that's part of the job, right? And it makes it fun. I mean, you guys have spent so much time, like you said, preparing for this moment and still some time to do that. How big are these top 30 visits, and what do you really learn about the guys that you bring in?
These top 30 visits are big just because of the fact that, some of these guys are underclassmen, so you have minimal exposures to them. And then not to mention, you have them for a few minutes at these all-star games, you have them for a few minutes at the combine, but when you bring them in on the top 30 visit, you get them pretty much for an entire day. And so there are different touch points throughout the building with people that they get to interact with, and so it's big for us to get to know the person. Like I tell all these guys, like we have so much time to watch film. They're not playing another game until August, and so the film is the film. But we want to invest and spend as much time as possible in getting to know the people.
So, Rand, my brother, okay, and his crew have labeled Bill Callahan as OLJ, okay? That's O-line Jesus, okay? Because of what he's capable of doing, man. And the way the season unfolds sometime, man, guys have good seasons, guys have bad seasons. And the ability to coach up technique, the ability to make players better is something that seems like Bill Callahan has been touted. I played for a guy like Mike Munchak that did similar things for us. When you look at one of the guys that's currently in your roster, man, and as far as Andre Dillard, right, how do you build that process, man, of saying, okay, this is where we start to move things? And not just him. You got Jalen Duncan. You got MPF who went out earlier, man. Where does that fall into the conversation of how Bill operates with those guys moving forward?
I think, more than anything, I think he's excited to work with these guys, work with the guys that we have on our roster. And, again, I think it's proven that if you just buy into the techniques and the things that he's teaching, like it can help grow your game. Last night at dinner, was sitting there listening to Lloyd and Sadiq Charles. They were, sitting next to each other. They're both sitting next to me. And just Lloyd talking to Sadiq about the techniques and the different things that he's already, heard from Coach Callahan yesterday. I could see, like, Sadiq's mind being blown, And again, it's all things like, for example, if you look at where Coach Callahan took Ethan Posic's game, in Cleveland, and how he grew and how he was able to get a long-term deal and kind of really restart his career. Like, we don't get Lloyd Cushenberry if he doesn't have the relationship he has with Ethan Posick, who can vouch for what Coach Callahan is capable of doing to your game.
No doubt. And then that interior, and the O-line is all technicals. Everybody's big, and that's one thing Man, Munch is golden to me, and that's all I've ever heard about Bill Callahan, too, is the technique saves you when your athletic ability is out the window.
Oh, 100%, because it's when all things is equal, you got to be able to be, technically and fundamentally sound, and that's going to be the base and the foundation of everything we do up front.
Titans GM Ran Carthon, our guest. Ran, when you look around the AFC South, how much are you paying attention to big moves your division rivals have made and thinking, okay, if they're loading up in this way, I've got to then make a corresponding move because I've got to see that team twice? I imagine there has to be some kind of balance there, obviously. Where is that balance in looking across the division while also realizing that you guys have a plan and you guys want to build things your way as well?
Yeah, so, you see the moves that they make. Obviously, like I said, with this being the information age, in front of my desk right now, I have one screen on ESPN, one screen on NFL Network, so there's something always coming across and you see them. But we're more so focused on building a team for us and not necessarily, building a team because, Houston, Indy, or Jacksonville made a particular move. Like, we're very well aware of what they're doing, but we want them to have to, look at us in the same way, in the same vein. So we're trying to build this team, in the best of our abilities and what we're trying to do schematically, in all three phases.
Rand, what is the best song by poet Dwayne Carter, in your opinion, if you're picking one? Maybe two. I'll give you a little bit of an out.
Let me see. Misunderstood is one for
Strong.
me.
Love it.
And Leather So Soft.
Oh,
Okay.
Those just takes me back to different points in life and where you were, at those times. Because I think Leather So Soft was around that, I would say, like 07-ish. And so
it's a good time.
Yeah. Misunderstood and Leather So Soft.
That's I think that also has Nashville native All-Star Starlito as a writer or performer on that song too, by the way. So shout out to you for just dropping that one, man. All-Star. That's major.
Also speaking.
Listen, I know I don't know Starlito, but been a big fan of his music going all the way back to his I&E days. Early on with Yo Gotti. I've been a Yo Gotti fan for forever, and that was my introduction to Starlito back in those days when they were on the label I&E, and that was way back in the day. We're talking 03, 04 days.
So we need to get a Ram playlist first and foremost. And then second, one more from B, because I have to ask about the shoe collection for this year, what we can expect to see on the field, because we are all looking at the fit when you get out there before games.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, these last couple of weeks have been crazy. My office is a mess right now, and I was just sitting down and just looking at the amount of shoes that I have either next to my desk in my bathroom or, in the closet in here. So that was the first thing I thought about this morning. I was like, man, when I move into my house, I got to get all these shoes out of here. So I still have a few pair that I haven't worn yet.
Okay.
Excited about it, but just kind of waiting to see what the new releases are going to bring.
Love it.
I just 1.5 from me, okay? When it comes to visitors, can you really speak on them much at all? Because a lot of our fan base want us to ask about certain players that's on visits. Can you really talk about them, and will you give me a real answer?
I'll say this much. Let's reconvene on the visits. Let's make sure they actually get here.
Okay.
Because, things happen where, they may visit another club and another club may make them an offer. You know what I mean? So I think, talking about it too early kind of gets you ahead of yourself. But we can double back after some visits and have those conversations. And
you're really not slick either. You took your wife to shop for furniture, okay? But I know there's a trip involved in this because you've been busy for a year straight. Where you going? We doing Paris? We doing Cancun? We doing Cabo? Private jet? First class? What we doing?
First of all, I act my wage. So we won't be doing anything exotic. Honestly, when I get my first break, I'd love to go back home to Key West and just disappear for about 5 days and, just turn my phone off and just hang out on the island and just hang around my people. But my wife was trying to get me to go to the island somewhere. Everyone who knows me knows that Jamaica is my place. I hope to, retire there one day. But I'm not quite ready to make that trip. So if I go anywhere in current times, it'll probably likely be to Key West.
No doubt.
Love it.
He is Tennessee Titans general manager Ran Carthon. Ran, we will hold you to that and circle back when the dust settles on the entire offseason and hopefully do it again soon. We appreciate the time.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. There he is, Titans general manager Ran Carthon with lots to say this morning. We will recap it and react coming up next.